Greetings.
Greetings. Qapla'.
Kapla! Darrel, good to see you there.
Yeah, good to see you, Chuck.
Yes. So you are my Klingon friend. And you know what I have right here? My prize piece
Ah,
that you gifted to me.
oh, great.
I love this. So
Hmm.
for those who are listening and not watching, um, would we call this a headdress, or what would you call the
It's your headpiece.
my headpiece? So of course we've got the hair. Of course I've got it tucked
Hmm.
underneath. So this is actually, I know I'm jumping right in, right? I'm just so excited to have you here.
That's okay.
So this was your piece right here that you wore on your time on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, right?
Correct.
So what we're doing today is we are talking to a Klingon actor who played several roles in Deep Space Nine, mainly, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I I worked on the show as an extra.
Yeah, you know,
Basically, you got a lot of headaches for no money, but it was fun.
oh, I love it. Well, I mean, when I found out that you were more than a Star Trek fan, that you actually were involved with the show, I was over the moon. It's so I think we have spawned a friendship. I'm hoping.
Well, as they like to say, beware of what you wish for.
well, I've gotten everything so far. You've been a great person.
Yeah.
So, uh, for people again who are just listening in on the show today, I met Darrel in his hometown. I play a little bit of music, and we were out there, and through somebody else, I had heard that he, like I said, played some roles in the Star Trek television programs. So, but Deep Space Nine actually came out, got 1993, and it was for 6 seasons. How many would you say that you were involved with?
Oh, probably maybe 10 episodes,
Wow.
10 or 12.
Uh,
It was an on and off thing. It actually the show itself they started filming it in 91,
mm,
and then it ran from 92 to 99 is when it was actually aired.
wow. Wow. It's to me, it's amazing how many different television series the original Star Trek series spawned. So I didn't do a real fact check, but I think there's like 12 different television series. So that's amazing. But I got to be honest, Darrel, Deep Space Nine was one of the earlier ones that came out. It was one of my least favorite, but actually now it has become my go-to. If I want to watch something Star Trek, I go to Deep Space Nine.
Well, a lot of people felt that way, from what I've found out over the years. I've gone to a lot of conventions and stuff. Is like you say, Deep Space Nine was one of those things when it came out. It was okay. I mean, but it was the same thing with Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
Voyager was basically treated the same way. It just, oh, it's an offshoot. It's not really Star Trek. Oh, it's just on a space station,
Yeah.
sort of thing. But now, I mean, and all the different variations that have come since then. I mean, now you've got Discovery,
Mm-hmm.
out now, and then you've got the new one that think it's called Strange New Worlds,
That's right. Yeah,
which is actually pre Captain Kirk.
wow. And Picard, another one.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
Picard.
there's just so many, but they're all super, super good. And I know there are going to be um, Star Wars fans out there who are not going to like what I say, but I've always been more of a Star Trek fan than Star Wars, only because Star Trek was just so much more real, had more of a human story to it, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you
I
agree
can,
with me
I
on
can
that.
buy that. I actually enjoy both of the genres.
Yeah.
Doing it because besides doing the Star Trek thing where I still try to go to conventions and stuff. I mean, the pandemic really killed the sci-fi community itself.
Oh, yeah, I
As
imagine.
far as the conventions go,
Yeah.
and it's slowly starting to come back, but it really took its toll.
So let's go back to uh, the mid '90s when you first got that role. How did it come about that you became an extra? Were you working in the film industry or anything like that, or
No,
did somebody were you walking down Hollywood Boulevard and somebody said that guy has got the physique of a Klingon?
actually, the way that it came about is been I've been a fan of Star Trek since the '70s.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I can remember when it first came out. It was like it was the one show that my parents would let us watch, even though it was horrible back then. And basically, I was actually in the Marine Corps. I was stationed down at Camp Pendleton,
Oh,
and there was a bunch of guys from the base that had been working in the industry, part time, picking up roles here and there. And before I had gone into the Marines, in fact, the first thing that I ever got involved in was actually the movie Fist,
oh,
which was that was actually filmed out in Dubuque, Iowa, which is the area where I'm originally from. I'm from Iowa. In fact,
okay.
my parents had a farm that was about 15 miles from Field of Dreams,
Wow.
so
But
Dyersville, Iowa. Yeah, and that's how I got involved in doing a lot of this stuff, and through school, and doing plays at school and stuff. And
mm-hmm.
it's just a lot of fun.
Well, so I want to clarify when I said, walking down Hollywood Boulevard and somebody said he's got the physique of a Klingon. It's because I've stood next to Darrel, and he is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you're like this. You've got this larger than life stature. So that's what I meant by that. So it's
Okay.
a phenomenal man.
I'm larger than life now, that's for sure. But yeah, back then I was about 100 pounds lighter, and but yeah, it just came about that they were looking for extras, and went in and just applied for it, and they're like, hey, you'd be really good for this.
So,
And then it was just every once in a while you get a casting call.
mhm.
We're looking for 10 people, and it's actually tough trying to find people that are willing to do some of these roles because it is wearing a lot of heavy makeup
Yeah.
and costumes and stuff. And that's what I meant, about the first couple of times it was like, what am I doing this for? It's the middle of the summertime. It's 150 degrees on grandma's back porch sort of thing, and you're wearing like that headpiece there, and you're wearing a costume that weighs 75 pounds. And the crazy thing was is that to do when you got involved in doing this, you would go in, you'd get all dressed up, and you'd sit in a trailer for 8 hours with air conditioning with a bunch of other people to to do a 30-second scene on film, and that would end up half the time on the cutting room floor, and you got paid $100 for the privilege.
Well, it's I want to know how long did it really take to put on your makeup, your headdress, your headpiece, all of that. I mean, I would imagine what couple 2 3 hours, maybe more.
Oh no, it wasn't for us. It wasn't that long
Mm,
because basically, like those were just they were just generic things.
okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like say with like Michael Dorn who played Worf on on what was it Next Generation
Right.
and stuff. He probably went through 4 hours a day
Wow.
in makeup and stuff because of course they were doing all of his shots were they were close up like you and I are versus versus me where I'm sitting in the background at Cork's bar
Ah,
drinking Warnock
yeah.
or something and just being basically obnoxious.
Being a Klingon.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing that a bunch of my friends and I used to always say is that when we put on the costume, you sort of feel like you can walk through a wall. But when you put on that headpiece, you can.
you know, that's what I've heard about the acting stuff. Is especially if you're putting on makeup like this, you become that character, and you portray that character. So
Right.
um, now
And then
you oh,
oh
go
well,
ahead.
then after this, we started going to a bunch of us started going to the Star Trek conventions.
Mm-hmm.
And we dress up and pretty soon it was a lot of fun because people would expect it. We'd show up and where you've got you know 300 people in Pasadena for say at a Creation Con is the company that used to run and still does run these conventions, the big Star Trek conventions. And we would go there and it was like you'd have 300 people standing in line. Well, Klingons don't stand in line.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just we're marching up and down the line and harassing everybody. And the great thing was is that you could get away doing it because everybody expected it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right because I have never seen a um, kind or a proper speaking Klingon on any of the shows. And if a Klingon were to say to me, "Excuse me, can I scoot by?" I'd say, "You're no Klingon, imposter."
Well, I'll tell you what. One of my first experiences at a actual convention was I went to a convention and it was in Sacramento. And there was a guy that was there who used to be part of a group. His name was actually Chuck. And I mean, everybody called him Slimy because this guy Chuck was half Filipino, and unfortunately he's not with us anymore. He was anyway. He would take and he had because he couldn't grow facial hair and stuff, so he had a glue on beard, and it was like because he would sweat so much in the headpiece, the beard would be hanging down and the mustache and his makeup would be running all over the place. And I
Oh.
went to get something to eat, and I sat down at a table at the the little cafeteria, and this great big guy comes walking up to me. He sits down next to me. He reaches over, he grabs my hot dog, and he just takes a bite. And I'm just looking at him like, what the hell? And,
Oh.
and we just had an amazing friendship after that. And he talked me into really getting into a lot of the roles then, and he was sort of like my mentor. with
Yeah,
how to really act, really act more than the acting part of it to become Klingon.
yeah, because I would imagine even if you um, did or didn't have any speaking roles, you probably had to, like you said, the mannerism and the walk and just that attitude too.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. You had to have the attitude.
Hmm.
And then there was also, I did a lot of not only Klingon, but I did Kardashian
Right.
roles.
Yeah. Now,
The Jemadar warrior, that was a lot. That was a lot of makeup.
well, I would imagine too with the Kardashian, the not much so much the makeup, but the attire, the clothing that you had to wear. Was that pretty heavy on that one?
Well, yeah, it's like if you see behind me here, that's my Klingon battle armor, and
Mm-hmm.
that's leather, and that's just the tunic. And that thing probably takes, and it weighs about 40 pounds, and that's just the tunic. And then you've got the pants, and you've got the heavy boots,
Mm-hmm.
because the boots are almost knee high boots.
Oh,
And stuff. Probably the total costume with the headpiece and everything else is, for just that part of it, is probably, I don't know, 65 pounds maybe. And
and
then
it's
when you get into some of the other stuff, it's like, I had at one point, I had a set of command robes. Like, I don't know if you remember Star Trek 3, the Search for Spock,
mm-hmm.
with Captain Kruge. He was played by Christopher Lloyd.
Yes, 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 yes. Now I remember. Yep.
The command robe that he wore. I mean, that's all wool, and I had one that was professionally made for me, and that was another 25 pounds.
And then on top of that, I imagine, like you said, sitting out on a porch and it's 100+ degrees, or whenever
Yeah,
you're working, and you have all of that on. You can't just take it off and put it back on quickly.
right. Because at a moment's notice, they're going to say, "Hey, get in here. It's time for your scene." And then it's like, how many times do they do that take?
Oh,
To do that 30-second time, there may be 10 or 15 takes. It all depends on the director and, how good everything works.
yeah. Uh, do you
I
have
mean, some of the
a couple
best
of really
ones.
fun? Mm,
Oh, go ahead. No,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
ask, and I think you're going there. If you had any a couple of really fond memories of any of the scenes or anything like that.
Well, some of the scenes, they're more of a blur than anything. It was more the people, like Jonathan Frakes is
Mm-hmm.
an excellent director. He did a lot of the spin-offs after Next Gen.
Mm-hmm.
He was the director on a lot of the spin-offs and stuff. He is a great director. Brent Spiner is a really good director and stuff, and they're more into the roles.
You know
And I
that.
got a lot of fond memories. I mean, because it was like, when we were on the set, we weren't really supposed to interact with the main stars.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of verboten sort of stuff. But hey, we're Klingons. We did it anyway.
Yeah, you're supposed to. That's part of your behavior.
Exactly. And I've still maintained friendships to this day with some of the actors. Is probably
Now,
one of the best ones is Robert O'Reilly, and he played Galron, and
wow.
he is just a fantastic guy. In fact, I
Yeah.
just got a thing from him just the other day where he's trying to get back in 1997. Our group that I was part of, we actually had him, one of the guys that I used to hang around with. He did a couple of Star Trek conventions in the San Francisco area that he put on that was called Klingon. It was all
Hmm.
Klingons. And Klingon 95, he had, it was uh, Bill Campbell and I'm trying to think of their names now. It was Koloff, Kor, and Kang, the original three Klingon captains from Star Trek, from the original show. And he got all three of them out there for the show, and everybody loved it. And a three-day convention, and then he came back with Klingon 97, and he got Robert O'Reilly out there.
Hmm.
And after that, it was like, Robert, it was fantastic working with him because I was part of the people that actually I guess you'd call it his handlers, to keep him from getting in trouble, basically,
Right.
yeah, and stuff. And then
Wow.
he just actually sent me an email. He's trying to get the old crew. In fact, he had posted on Facebook a picture of Klingon 97 where he is there and surrounded by 150 Klingons. And this was
Man.
back in the day when Paramount would not allow him to wear makeup outside of the show.
Oh.
Because that's the one thing is the big difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. And I don't know if I could get in trouble for this or not, so but I don't care. But they always had this thing where George Lucas with Star Wars, he loves fan interaction with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Paramount they are absolutely anal about their copyright copyright infringements. In fact, I know a guy. I don't have a copy sitting here in front of me, but it's called. In fact, I think I gave you a copy of it, "The Way of the Warrior."
Not yet.
I
I'll look forward to it.
give that to you. Oh,
No.
well, when you come back out here in August, September, when you're
September.
down
I'll be
there in
back out
Berkeley,
there.
yeah, yeah. When you come back out here, I'll have to give you a copy of it. It was called "The Way of the Warrior," and it was he's a martial arts expert from California, and him and his wife they learned how to use a batleth, which for those of you that don't know what it is, let me.
And when you do that, I am going to play this in the background.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, yeah, but this is a batleth, and yeah,
That
that is
is.
steel, and it's about 20 pounds of stainless steel and stuff, and it's a full sized. But he actually was able to figure out with his wife how to effectively use this prop from a TV show as an actual weapon.
Wow.
And he put together a book, and he had everything done with it, self-published it, and right when as soon as they printed out like 1,000 copies of this thing, Paramount sent him a cease and desist letter. Oh, you're infringing on our copyright, and he was so careful about not using the word Klingon
Mm-hmm.
because that's a copyrighted name. So it was an alien warrior, and the thing that got them was both him and his wife, as they were using this and demonstrating the different poses, and slashes and everything, they were dressed as Klingons
Oh
in the
no.
pictures. So they sent him a cease and desist letter. They said, if you want to publish this, hey, we're good with it, but you got to give us 10 grand or something like that. And
Mm.
Chet said, no way. So they told him that he had to destroy the book.
Wow.
But let's just say a few advanced copies happened to get out before Paramount got them and stuff. And, like I say, I could get in trouble for this, but I really don't care. Hey, Paramount, you want to come after me? I'm in the middle of Idaho. Try to find me, sort of thing. And,
Hey, come on. No.
But we still every once in a while, so one of us that had advanced copies, we'll post one on like eBay and stuff.
Mm.
And that book that Chet was originally going to sell for, I think the cover price was like $12 on it. They go for hundreds of dollars now.
Wow.
On there, I've seen them as high as $400 on eBay. And it's because as whenever we post one on there, we always call it the book that never was.
And which is so true.
Because of Paramount. And Star Wars would love it if somebody did that. I mean, can you imagine if somebody really came up with a lightsaber?
A training course on how to use and fight with the lightsaber? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I've seen it on some YouTube videos where these guys have gotten together with they've made up some that you can actually fight with. I mean, it's not, a real laser, but it looks like it, and they choreograph it, and it looks absolutely awesome. And, George Lucas is like, hey, more, bring us more. But
it's great advertisement.
They are so paranoid about it.
What amazes me too, though, I mean, talking about props and things like that from television series and Star Trek in particular, is the Klingon language. And you had mentioned to me, and I took a look too, it is now a real language.
Yeah. In fact, I got a copy of that right here. Is the of course, it's mirrored on my end.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm looking at.
Yes.
But it's the Klingon dictionary. It was a language that was originally written by a gentleman named Mark Orklin, and it was just a couple of phrases for a couple of the TV shows, and I think it actually first started coming out with the Star Trek the motion picture. Is when he first really started getting into it, and now it's an accredited language.
Yeah, when you look under like the IMDb, and you look at some of the shows, and in Deep Space Nine in particular, it says English, Klingon. So those are the two languages that's listed in there. Right. And I did look it up, and it says that there's not a whole lot, but there are like 30 people in the world who speak fluent Klingon.
Oh, yeah. That movie that had come out a few years back with Eddie Murphy, Daddy Daycare.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was the one kid that I can't think of the actor's name right now. What is his name? He was on a lot of stuff. Yeah, Owen. Owen is either his first name or his last name. He's on the bridge of his nose. He sort of has a flat spot on his nose.
Let's see. I'm of course using my internet here to take a quick peek. Let's see here. One of the main characters?
Yeah, one of the main characters.
And he was a younger kid, right?
Like I said, his last name, I think his last name's Owen.
Darn. On these internet movie database thing, there just sure is a whole lot of actors and everything else in a lot of these movies.
Right. Well, anyway, the thing was is that there was one of the kids from the movie. Nobody could understand what he was speaking, and then when he shows up starts in the movie, he's like, oh, the kid's speaking Klingonese,
Oh,
and
Gary
he could
Owen.
understand him. What was that?
Gary Owen.
Gary Owen. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and he could understand what the kid was saying. But Mark, he took something that was just a couple of words, and just it's morphed into this thing now where it's accredited, I believe, as a language and it's taught by like 25 or 30 major universities across the country
That is just so amazing.
and
Wow.
stuff, and the language has just grown and grown and grown.
You know, that's something to, well, that's something else where a television series, especially going all the way back to the original Star Trek, and they didn't think much of it, that it wasn't going to do well. It's probably one of the longest running shows in syndication and everything.
Oh,
So
right.
um, for it to spawn more than just television shows, but movies and a language, that to me just blows me away.
Well, just
It's
just the early technology. I mean, when you look at the original Star Trek,
yes,
and it's like, the communicators, and then, what, third, what would that be? 40 years? 30, 40
even more
years after
way
it?
back. Oh
They came out with the flip phone,
yes, and Motorola called it a Star Trek. One of their early flip phones. It was all black.
right?
So
Yeah, in fact, now you can actually, there's a company that actually makes a flip phone, that looks exactly like a communicator.
wow. Uh, a lot of those things, like you said, what they had for props, kind of like a real thing now. They're tricorders, they're communicators, they're, you know, um, I bet you there's anything that uh, Dr. McCoy had that we have now, an iPad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Um,
An iPad that was just, it's just amazing the stuff that has come out of it.
mm-hmm.
Stuff which
Yeah.
that's a big part of it that I love too about it.
Yeah. Uh, I had an opportunity to have a conversation with Tim Russ from Star Trek Voyager, and he was Tuvok, of course. That's the one thing I asked him. I said, "So, what makes Star Trek? What makes these movies and TV shows almost timeless?" He says, "Well, when you're talking about the future isn't now, so it's going to always, remain relevant." So I found that very interesting that he said that, but it's so true at the same time, because here we are talking about the communicators, the tricorder, and all that stuff, and um, here it is. We kind of have it, but then we don't have all of it, so it still remains relevant. That technology that they made up back then.
Right, and a lot of it he'd really love to be able to see even,
Yeah.
nowadays. It's like,
Yep.
some of the, of course, I collect a lot of props and stuff. My prize, I sent you a picture of it. It looks like a Thompson submachine gun.
Yeah. Let me make sure. Let me see if that came through, because I want to be able to share that with people, and I'll make sure that I put that in during our podcast here.
Okay, because
Uh,
otherwise I can send you a picture of it afterwards too. But it's
okay.
probably my prize Star Trek collectible, and
Do
it
you have
was
any?
it was actually used in the original series, A Piece of the Action. It was a prop 45 caliber Thompson submachine gun.
And I remember that episode.
Yeah, that was a great
Do you
episode.
have? Yeah, yeah, it was.
It's actually hanging
Too real.
on the wall in
It,
my other room.
no, it's in the other room. I was gonna say with that one, it was that episode was too real when we're talking about the future and its relevance. It's
Right.
too real.
And
So,
you know, when you go back and you think about it, you can actually see, or at least I can see something like that actually happening. You know,
hmm
where a ship out of the future, you know, it lands on a more primitive world, and the only thing that survives out of this spaceship crash is a book of the mobs of the 20th century, and they base their entire, you know, technological society, you know, on Al Capone and Bugsy Siegel and stuff. And
yeah,
that's really one of my favorite episodes too. I love that episode. And
I do too.
I was at an auction, and one of these had come up for sale, and it was one of the original prop 45s, and it was
Wow.
like, I got to have that. You know, and it's like, you know, I wouldn't get rid of that for anything.
Yeah. And speaking of your memorabilia and props, things like that, behind you, I mean, you've already shown or pointed out a couple of your props, but you have a lot more back there.
Oh yeah. Well,
It's,
I've got three different uniforms hanging up
hmm
that I've used. Well, I showed you that one batleth. There's this one right here. That's called the Sword of Kalish, and um, that was supposed to have been carried by Kalish the Unforgettable, and so that's a mock-up. But that's also stainless steel. You know, about 30 pounds of stainless steel
oh my gosh.
and stuff. And then, of course, you know, you got to have your Klingon knife, you know, or
Yes.
Tog. That's called a Doc Tog. You know, with the fold out blades. And then I've also got back here, you know, well, what would a Klingon be without his disruptor pistol?
Oh yes.
You got to have the disruptor pistol, and you know, of course, you know, what's a disruptor pistol without a disruptor rifle? You know, so these are a
Wow.
lot of fun you know, to carry around and stuff. And then I, oh, in here is this is one of the headpieces that I actually wore for a
Um,
lot of stuff, and since then too. So yeah,
well, and you notice I have my Klingon hair, my real one down
yeah,
and pulled back.
yeah. See, that's the fortunate part about you. See, mine here is really short. Normally, if I'm going out someplace and I'm going to wear this, you know, I'll actually shave my head because it's a lot cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It's
the funny part is that normally guys that wear stuff like this, you know, one of the things that they use is on the inside to soak up the sweat. Use a woman's feminine napkin.
oh
And
yeah,
you stick
yeah.
it in there, and then you don't sweat. But there, now I feel a little more not human. You know, it's kind of just, you know, but you know, once you get all the makeup on and stuff, and you blend everything in, you know. But yeah,
That is great. That is great.
yeah. But
Gosh.
I've been on one magazine cover, which is this here is a magazine called Warp Trails,
Okay.
and that's, if you can see me in the middle there,
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
with
All right.
two of my friends. One of them, you really, it's tough to tell in the in the picture on there. His name is Mitchell, and he's from San Francisco area. One of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet, and he gets mistaken for Michael Dorn all the time when he's in Klingon garb,
Oh, wow.
just all the time. and
Now,
he's like me. He loves doing it, and we've done a lot of things, a lot of promotional stuff. And one of the funniest things we ever had was there was three of us, and we were working for Kodak at the Cyborg convention in San Francisco, which is a big computer show.
mm,
I don't even know if they still do it anymore, but it was called Cyborg. And we were supposed to we were basically we were eye candy outside, and we're handing out flyers, to people that are going into the show and stuff. And one of my friends, Mike, he's on the corner of Van Ness and I can't think of which one it is now, what street. But he's just standing there, and he said that some guy, all once he comes running over, and he's like, "Hey, we got to go inside." He comes running over, and this guy was driving down the street, and he looks over at Mike, and then he looks again, and he runs into the car in front of him.
oh
He just
no,
slams into him
oh,
and stuff. We've
uh,
we've had stuff like that. Did some work for Alaska Airlines where we
mm,
were. There was some of us that they were doing a. There was a group that would do a management seminar, and it was a space-based game where um, it, they were selling. Their salespeople were supposed to sell water, and it was selling water to um, different societies around the galaxy.
oh,
And
okay.
we, as the Klingons, we were the keepers of the prison. And if the salesman did something wrong, they would get thrown into prison. And if they got caught doing something wrong, basically, when we would grab them out of their out of the game, whatever they were holding in their hand had to go with them. And one of the big parts of the game was there was a little piece of paper that was a communicator and a transport key, so they couldn't transport back up to their ship. And it was just a hilarious game when it got going.
Wow.
And we were actually up in Seattle doing this with Alaska Airlines, and it was myself and Mike and Mitch, and we were staying in. I can't think of the name of the hotel, but it's downtown. It was across from FAO Schwartz
Okay.
there, big tall hotel. And we get in the elevator, and we're starting down. And of course, because we got dressed in our rooms, so we're in full makeup, full battle armor and stuff, and going downstairs they catch a ride, over to it was the Superdome that they just
King
tore down.
Kingdom back
No,
then. I
okay,
think. Yeah.
is where this thing was going to be, and it was the funniest thing in the world. I mean, the doors opened up on the 15th floor, and this little Asian lady, I mean, couldn't have been 4'5", you know, and she goes to step into the elevator, looks up, sees us, and just kind of backs away, and then the doors closed. And we were laughing so hard when we got down, to the bottom of the lobby, with that one. I mean,
Oh
it was great.
gosh. Hey, Daryl, do you try to get out? I know, like you're saying, the past couple of years with the pandemic, there really wasn't much of anything happening live and in person. But do you still try to, or do you think you're going to try to get out to any one of these conventions that are coming up?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, I'm hoping to do um, the Star Trek convention this year in Vegas
Mm-hmm.
in August. There's a bunch of us that are planning on going to that, and of
Gosh,
course
I
we'll
should
be
try to
we'll be
go.
there in full costume and stuff. And
Oh wow.
you know
Okay.
we've always had a lot of fun with that. Going to the different conventions, because a lot of times we'll take and creation will actually get a hold of us, and we'll do stuff on stage with the old main actors,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. We've done a lot of stuff with with them doing that. Hung out in what we like to refer to the has been room. Not that they're has beens, but it's
Yeah.
what was it? Like Herb Jefferson, who used to play Boomer on uh, not Babylon 5,
Battlestar
Battlestar
Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica. Yeah,
Yes.
and he used to go to every convention
Oh.
that he could possibly go to. And they go and they sign autographs, for people, and they make $5 an autograph. But we affectionately call that room the has been room. It's not that they're has-beens, but but you actually have more. I think you have more fun sitting in those rooms signing autographs for people than anything.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be more casual, more fun, and you're not so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get to interact with the people, and then it'd be like I'm sitting there signing autographs and pictures and stuff, and it's like, well, what did you do? Well, I'm uncredited. Oh, well, I want your autograph anyway.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like that magazine cover that I showed you. There was a lady from here who just went through chemotherapy for breast cancer, and
Mm-hmm.
survives today, and she's a huge Star Trek fan. And she came over to the house one day and I showed her all my collection of stuff, and then I showed her a copy of that magazine, and it was like she had to have it, and then she had to have my autograph on it, and it's like, why? You know, Nobody's gonna know who I am, but it was like she had it. Michelle had to have it, so it's like I feel really good about that.
Well, with that being said, I want to ask you, and I don't know if you'll remember. Do you recall which episodes possibly that you were in?
Uh,
Because
I'd have to
there's
look back at them.
yeah, because
So
I it's
there was I think like with Deep Space Nine there was 250 episodes in the whole series.
wow, yeah, that's a lot. I mean, a whole lot, and yeah, like we were saying earlier, I mean, all these different series that spawned off of the original one. I think I read someplace that there's like over 840 episodes altogether. I mean, that's a lot of
Oh,
Star Trek.
and it's just growing now again. With Star
Yeah.
Trek Discovery, and then Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Discovery, I think, is what, in their fourth season now.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Yeah, I
And
think you're right.
a
Yes.
lot of people that I know, they didn't like it. Because it just didn't seem real enough. But then
I
other people, I didn't really think that I would, that I would like Strange New Worlds, but I love it.
see. I'm kind of like the people that you were saying that didn't really care that much for Discovery, but uh, second season after that, I really liked it.
Well,
Um,
like behind me, you really can't see them, but my wife and I have a collection of the different ships that were in
oh
the
my,
new Discovery.
oh my gosh, that would be really cool to have.
Yeah, I think
Really cool.
what we created like three. I don't know, there's like 35 different models.
Wow, wow. But I mean, when I'm there next time, you got to have me over at your place,
Oh
and you
yeah, you
need.
got to come over.
I would love to see what you have there.
Yeah.
I would love that. Darrel, I thank you very much for doing this and being on the show. And I think people who are going to watch it and who listen to it, yeah, I think you've put this new. Um, well, we've all been fans of the Star Trek, but
Yeah.
for me personally, you make me want to go watch it even more. So I know as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna watch Star Trek. In fact, I'm gonna watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine
Okay.
and I'm probably gonna watch Voyager as well.
Voyager,
So one
Voyager,
episode of each.
I enjoyed Voyager a lot. Well, part of the thing with Voyager is I actually went to school with Kate Mulgrew.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh.
she was 2 years ahead of me in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I know Kate. It's not like I know her, but I know her, from school, seeing her around
Mm-hmm.
school and stuff. And she's always
Uh,
been a nice person. And a lot of the actors were really cool. I mean, probably one
that's
of
good
my
to hear.
favorite ones. I got to really say one of my favorite actresses from the show, and she was on Deep Space Nine, was Nicole DeBoer, and she's the one that took over for Terry Farrell
Okay.
when they eliminated Terry's character, Jadzia Dax, and she was Ezra Dax. And I was at a convention in Fairfield, California, of all places, and uh, she was supposed to be there as the guest star, and we were all a bunch of us in costume, and all at once this little tiny girl comes running up, and I mean Nicole is the size of a gymnast, you know, and she just like leaps up into my arms, and she's like, "Oh, my Klingons are here!" And it was like I was her escort for the entire con after that.
All right, I'm gonna make sure that when I go and watch Deep Space Nine tonight, I'm gonna watch it after Jadzia. So
Yeah, you got to look for one with Ezra.
I will definitely,
Yeah,
definitely will. Uh,
but yeah, I've
yeah, like I
enjoyed
said,
it, Chuck. You know, but
yeah, it's been
I don't know. I wouldn't mind
fantastic.
doing it again. Because I do a lot of Star Trek stuff or Star Wars stuff too.
Yeah, let's plan to do that. I know I said I'm more of a Star Trek fan, but Star Wars, there's so many people out there. My nephew included is a Star Wars fan, and one of my good friends, Dave, is an absolute Star Wars um, fanatic.
Well,
So let's
I'll tell you
plan
what,
that.
my fondest memory of that is I was working for an overnight courier service in Northern California, and I had a delivery one day out to Lucas Ranch.
Oh,
And I show up and go through the gate, and they said, yeah, go over to this building over here, and somebody will get the package. And it was a package with a bunch of film in it. So I go, and it's like a cafeteria actually where I walked into, and there's nobody in there. And I rang the bell, walked in, and this guy shows up, and he was wearing a bathrobe, and it was George Lucas.
oh,
And
geez.
I didn't recognize him, and I was like, "Well, I got to deliver this. You think you can sign for it?" And he says, "Well, I suppose I can. My name's on the gate." So it's like, that was really cool meeting George Lucas that way.
Wow. Yeah, let's plan to do this and get together and talk about Star Wars and some of your knowledge and adventure with Star Wars.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Cool. Well, again, Darrel, thank you. I know it's a little bit later for you where you're at as opposed to where I'm at, but I'm still going to stay up for a few hours to watch a couple of episodes.
I may have to do that myself now.
Yep, yep.
So anyway, you
So,
take care.
all
I
right,
appreciate it, and you know, we'll talk to you again.
all right, Darrel. Thank you.
All right.
Don't hang up.
Yeah.